Well, we talked about the contract. We talked about the quarterback. Let's talk about the team in general. The Miami Dolphins, they are arguably the most talented, maybe the fastest roster in the entire NFL, and definitely the AFC East. If you just look at roster alone, this team should be atop the AFC East, right? Like if you just look position by position, you look at, yet Tua, right? You can argue whether or not you think Tua is a top 10 guy or not. But then you got Raheem Mostert, you got Tyreek Hill, you've got Jalen Waddle, you've got Odell Beckham, you've got Jonnu Smith, who the Patriots let go. But is this offense good enough to overcome 9.5 wins, which is where they open?
I don't think they are. I think the Dolphins are going to take a step back this year. I'm going under, not by much, but I'm sorry. The defense has a lot of holes in it. Like it does. They've had a lot of injuries. They have a really terrible salary cap situation. And another thing, they haven't really fixed the offensive line. Like we've got an issue at left guard. We've got an issue at right guard. Just minimum. Tight end's not great. We don't know what's going to happen with the edge rushers because of the injuries. The linebacker situation doesn't excite me. The corner situation doesn't have a lot of depth at all because unless Ramsey comes out and plays fantastic, I'm not expecting that. I think
everybody knows you don't like Ramsey anyway.
Well, by the way, I was right. And I was saying and people were still saying he was the best in the league. I was like, hey, he's actually not. I was correct. Wrong about a lot of things. I was right about that one.
They did pick up Poyer, so that's a big move.
Okay, absolutely. Let me look at their stats from last year. Obviously, it was explosive. Second in points per game, first in yards per game, first in pass yards, 23rd in rush yards. Defense, a little more hit and miss. 22nd in points per game, 10th in yards, 15th in pass yards, 7th in rush yards. They finished 11-6 and lost the wildcard game to Kansas City. But last year, I think they were a better team. I think the roster was better last year because they lost some pieces. The salary cap isn't in the same situation. They're more limited here. So I don't think they're going to get to 11 wins like they did last year. I think they're in trouble.
In trouble. Miami's in trouble.
I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I don't think Miami's going to be exceptional. I think the ceiling is 10 wins, but I think they win at 9 games. We can go through the schedule if you want in a minute. What do you think?
Intro. I swear on everything that if Miami is in trouble by the end of this year, I'm going back to this episode and we'll just replay it. Like the week that we're talking about Miami, we will just replay this episode again. Every sports commentator I've watched to prepare for this show, just to hear their takes on it, everybody has Miami going over. Like
really,
most every AFC East team goes over except the Patriots in most people's predictions right now.
Well, all these teams can't go over.
I find it shocking that you think that the Dolphins are going to go under. Look, it's a tough schedule.
Not by a lot.
And we know that Tua does not play well in cold weather. And if you look at the end of the year, he's got some places where he's going to have to play some cold weather games. Yep. So that is trouble, right? You can see trouble on the horizon. But I find it, again, hard to believe that Miami has, with Mike McDaniel being as good as he is, they haven't found a way to fix this. They haven't found a way to reinvent the wheel. I mean, look at what he did last year with the season that they had.
I think a lot of people are going to be more onto the whole cheat motion thing this year. Obviously, it was a big problem, but I think it's going to give teams another year to adapt. Now, he might add more wrinkles to it as well, obviously, but
right.
Continue.
And we know, so like Patrick Mahomes, right? People caught on to that at some point, and Mahomes had to learn a different way of playing.
Of course.
Well, I think McDaniel is as good as Mahomes is in head coaching world. I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Really?
I really do. Like he's just, his story, I mean, just coming pretty much from water boy to head coach, like it's a phenomenal story. It's a beautiful story. And I think that he is too edgy to let other teams come in there and have their will against them. I think he's going to find a way to counteract. He may run that scheme starting out like the first 6 weeks or something. If they start picking up on it or catching on it, then he'll change it up and he'll go, okay, well, time to move to plan B. Remember how I told you on the offseason that we're going to keep running plan A until plan A doesn't work, we'll move to plan B? I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's too smart to have not thought of what we're talking about here. Like 2 guys on the microphone, and McDaniel hadn't said, that they're going to catch on to that. Like, he's going to fix
I understand.
it. And for you to say their roster is even worse than it was last year, I disagree completely with that. Maybe on the defensive side.
That's what I'm worried about.
I would still even say no because they added Poyer, and I think that's a huge help. And then Jalen Ramsey, we'll see what he does. I think he's going to have a decent season. He's not going to play like he did, 5 years ago. But the offense, man,
yeah, but Chubb got injured.
The offense is sure, but still, you have the depth at offense is also great, especially in the receiving room.
I understand. I'm not debating the fact that the offense is good. I don't think the offense is the question mark. Is Miami going to go and surprise people and put up a lot of yards and put up points? Yeah, more than likely. They still got Tyreek Hill. They still got all these pieces. I do think the offensive line's an issue, so I think they might take a step back offensively. I actually, matter of fact, because we showed the graphic, second, first, 23rd, they will take a step back offensively. I don't think they are going to lead the league in all these categories.
It's hard to maintain that status,
of course,
more than 1 year.
So
even Patrick Mahomes doesn't do that.
Exactly. So if I think they're going to take a minor step back on offense, and then I don't think the defense has gotten better, whereas last year it was 15 to 20 in these categories, that tells me I think the team overall is getting worse. I don't think.
But they won 11 games last year.
They did, but they won against a lot of bad teams. They struggled to beat good teams, and they got embarrassed against tough opponents that they faced. And let's go through their schedule, because this is one of the teams I want to talk about game by game, okay? So week 1, the Jaguars. I think they could win or lose that game.
Well, that's the only two options.
Oh, there are ties in the regular season.
I'll tell you what, people they come into this show and they hear the most cutting edge.
This is why you tune in to Sports Love. Okay, Jaguars, win or lose.
Hey, I bet you they're going to do 1 or 2.
Yeah, probably. 50-50 shot. Okay, so they beat the Jags. They lose to the Bills.
Whoa, time out. Here is where I interject. And I'm going to save a little bit of this to talk about with the Bills that we'll talk about next. But the Bills have owned them. Don't think it's that way again this year. Just saying. Move on. You can give them the loss here all you want. Don't think it's going to happen, but go ahead.
Okay, so just looking. Jaguars, I think they win. Seahawks, I think they win. Titans, they win. Patriots, they win. Colts, I'm not certain, because
after a bye week, I think they win.
Possibly. Let's say they win that. They win Cardinals. Okay, we're at 6. I say they lose to Buffalo, lose to the Rams. They beat the Raiders. That's 7. They beat the Patriots. That's 8. Packers lose, Jets win, so that's 9, and then they probably lose against the 49ers, lose against the Browns, and then the Jets, they could win or lose if they split. So right there, that's 9 to 10. So I think best case scenario, we're right at 10.
Okay. All right. Well, the difference is the Bills. You think the Bills sweep them again, and I'll save that for next segment. But I see where you're coming from, and logically, it makes sense that if you think that the offense is going to take a step back, then likely they'll win less games, and you have them winning a game and a half less to be, well, actually 2 games less because they have to be under 9.5. So,
right.
I mean, but even you naming through these, you got to 9 pretty quick, and then you still had 4 games left. So,
yeah, those last games are tough though. You got 49ers, you got the Browns at Cleveland, you got New York in New York in January or December. I'm not going to be surprised if the Dolphins win 10 or 11 games. I'm not going to go, what? But this is the whole point. It's predictions. It's fun. In my gut, I feel like they take a step back and they win. I think 9 games is the limit. Then they might miss the playoffs. It depends. I'm not sure yet.
I'm so glad that we have so many differences. I didn't think we would, but every one of these we've really had a differing opinion on, except the Patriots, which everybody knows they're going to suck this year.